There's a problem that I think artists who are raised on the internet are going to run into where so much of their process happens alone. They're in control of every single aspect of that. If they're an internet filmmaker, they can write, shoot, edit, promote, distribute their film entirely on their own without anybody else ever entering that process. But as you start to have success, more and more people become a part of your process. And so how do you make sure that you have continuity of vision over the course of a film, for example, where you're not making every single little decision anymore, right? Like where there might be 100 people working on your film, but your name is what goes above the title. What do you do? And I think of this advice that Stig Asmussen told me. And Stig is one of the top video game directors in the world right now. He directed God of War 3 and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. And I'm paraphrasing his exact advice here, but essentially what it is you set the macro vision so that your team can create the micro vision, right? Like as the person whose name is going above the title, as the director or the lead creative on the project, it is your responsibility to set the parameters, create the rules, the filters that everything, all decisions must be run through in order to make it into the final piece of art. You have to create this sandbox for people to play within. Another example is the director George Miller. When making the Mad Max movie, Mad Max Fury Road, George wasn't making every single one of the cars in that movie, right? But what George did was George created rules that every single thing that you saw on screen had to be made from found objects repurposed. And so every single designer on that movie, when designing the cars, would make them from found objects repurposed. So while George wasn't designing every single thing that you see in the movie, he was guiding the creative decisions of all of his collaborators by setting the rules, the parameters that everything had to be made within. You need to create the macro vision so that your team can create the micro one.